กายที่เธอมองเห็นว่างามสุดท้ายความเสื่อมทรามจะมาพรากไปร่วงโรยลงในสายทานยามการเวลาหมุนไปชีวิตต้องแตกสลายไม่มีเที่ยงแท้ผมเส้นงามถึงคราวร่วงไปแขนขาที่เคยว่องไวกลับไร้เรี่ยวแรงโรคภัยเฝ้าคอยคุกคามติดตามไปในทุกแห่งเกิดแก่เจ็บตายสำแดงเป็นธรรมดาหากเธอมองทุกการเกิดมาที่มีอย่างลึกซึ้ง
don't know, sir.
Makha is we call the path or the way, like the way from Bangkok to Chiang Mai, and the maybe with the roadside, maybe in the route of the sky or the route of the spaceship that we call Makha, or in the route of the river or the ocean, we also call Makha. The Makha is the way or the how to go on foot, on sky, on spaceship. We must have the way, the Makha. The same, if we want to go to Nibbana, what is the meanings of Nibbana? The end of the suffering. If you want to go the end of the suffering, only one way, no other way. Anyone can point out billions of the way. Even the scholars, the specialists, billions of the specialists in this modern day cannot point out and cannot go to Nibbana without Eightfold Path or Makha. Then what we are going to know, what we are going to learn about the historical backgrounds of Pali literatures, mean we are learning to know about the historical backgrounds of anyone. For example, Sakka Devaraja, I have taken for example, but still not be able to get to know what is the Sakka Devaraja going to ask the Buddha. Then we jump into Triple Gem. When we jump into Triple Gem, then we jump into the Noble Sangha. The Noble Sangha make the first council and collecting all the enlightenments of Lord Buddha and all parts of the historical background of during the times of Buddha, 45 years. And after that, the other Noble Sangha have mentions about the parts of the history we call Atthakatha, or in English we call commentary. We call in Pali we call Atthakatha. And after Atthakatha, we have Dika, mean the one who's come to explain about the Atthakatha. And after Atthakatha, then have someone again to explain about the Dika that we call Anudika. Have explained up to this modern day, we call the modern day, the modern book, the modern textbook, the modern scholarship, modern textbook. Or even we are learning right now with the Google Meet, the modern technologies. The modern technologies make us to discuss, to learn, to collect, to gain the knowledge. Even we are stay far away from different countries, we are still be able to learn, to get to know all these things. This is the benefit of the technologies, but these technologies, without the enlightenment of Lord Buddha, we may not be able to gain this. 200-300 years ago, on scientific still not be able to improve or invent of anything yet. But when Buddhism are spread all over the globe by the British Pali text societies, by the Western societies, and during the spreadings of the Buddhism, the scholars, the specialists, the scholars, the philosophers, the intelligent people invent a lot of things. Then have invent innovation. The new innovation invents another innovation. Then all innovations are now become AI. AI can make more than anything right now. Make sure that right now you are listening to the AI or listening to Dr. San. When we are watching from television, when we are watching from the social media, when we are watching from the radio or any parts of the source of the information, make sure that you're listening from the being. Make sure that you are not listening from the AI or artificial intelligence or the robot. This is the fruitions of enlightenment. 200 years ago, the Western people still believe that the world is flat. Don't go so far, you will fall out from the world. But the Buddha have given the knowledge. The knowledge of Tipitaka have mentioned about the globe. And it's not mentioned only in the globe. The Buddha have mentioned about the billions of the universes. Not just only this being. The Buddha have mentioned about this planet is still other planet. For example, like Jambu Dvipa, this we are saying all these planets are called Jambu Dvipa. And there are other Dvipa, mean the Uttara Guru Dvipa, have mentioned in Tipitaka, very far, and have mentioned about the Amara Koyana Dvipa, have mentioned about the Pupa Viteha Dvipa, and the Lord Buddha have mentioned that, but up to now, still no one can find out yet where is that state of being, where they are existing somewhere. Don't talk about that. Even the Lord Buddha have given about the Sakka Devaraja. Sakka Devaraja, even today, no one can mention that yet. Where is the realm or the stage of beings of the Sakka Devaraja exists in the Sumeru, after Sumeru? The scientific still not be able to prove that yet. But then we cannot say that. If scientific cannot prove, that means it's not true. Because so many things the Lord Buddha have said about the truth, but the scientific still not be able to prove. But so many things that teaching and enlightening by Lord Buddha and the scientific have more proof, but the scientific still have more to do, to prove. That means the teachings of Lord Buddha are standing for the scientific to prove any part of the teachings of Lord Buddha, as mentioned by the Albert Einstein, the great scientific, that if there are any if there are any teachings of any religion to stand up for the proof of the scientific. No other teaching can stand for the proof of the scientific. But the teachings of Buddha still standing up and letting scientific to prove that what is said by the Lord Buddha is still be true. But if we can get someone who been a scientific to prove about how could we develop ourselves through the Eightfold Noble Path easily, more than we are learning right now, that we call threefold teachings of the Makha, that have mentioned that beyond the Eightfold Noble Path, no other way to go to the end of the suffering. This is still stand for the scientific to prove and to make sure that if the scientific can do to let us make the cooperation to make more easier for the being, for the nation to get more easier to learn, to practice, to get to know to the end of the suffering through the teachings of Buddha. It could be this day. It could be this day. And now, any question before we are going to finish about 10:40? And for the Sakka Devaraja asking the question to the Lord Buddha, I would left it behind. When we got opportunity, we will bring the discussing of Sakka Devaraja to the Lord Buddha. And then the Sakka Devaraja get the first stream of the Noble Sangha. The Sakka Devaraja reborn again and be the new Sakka Devaraja, still exists and ruling the Tawatingsa along with the other gods and goddess up to these days. That means only a few days in Tawatingsa. That means if we have to be born again, if we have opportunity to get to be born again, if the world is too much crisis, if the world is too much create political unrest, if the world is too much create lacking of the sufficiency economy, running out of the food, maybe getting born in the higher room, we will struggling, smuggling, and searching more difficult with food. In the God realm is better. Now, about 10 to 13 minutes. About 13 minutes will be end of our class. Do you have any question about what we are learning? And what we are going to learn? Venerable Suchata?
Teacher. Yeah, how can I find the Saka, huh? Raja
Sakka
Saka.
Devaraja.
Saka Devaraja, teacher. How can I find in?
If in your language you can make the question with Sakka Panha.
Saka
Sakka
Banha.
Panha.
Yeah, teacher.
Okay,
Saka
in
Banha.
your
Yeah.
language. And
Yeah.
if not, you may type in English Sakka Panha. Maybe
Yeah.
the versions of the Pali Text Society of England or UK will be shown. And then if you can find out, we can exchange and we can make a lot of research about the Sakka Panha and about the others too. For example, so many story of the venerable, the noble Sangha in those days. For example, it start from the great noble Sangha. For example, like Mahakaspa, even the Sariputta, Mokkallana, great disciple in those days, or even concerned to the Bhikkhuni, for example, like Pachapati Khotami, uh, other Bhikkhuni, for example, like the wife of the former Pipali, mean Mahakaspa, the historical backgrounds of them, all they were very noble family. And if in this modern day we may not be able to believe how can billions of men, a billionaire man can let all their wealthiest and ordained to become a hermit or the monk. And if we compare in this modern day, like the Venerable Sri Panjo from Malaysia, his mom is a Thai, his father is an Indian in Malaysia. He left more than 6 billions of the US dollars property to ordain to become a Buddhist monk. How could he do that? In those days, in the previous time of the Buddha, in the time of the Buddha, and how can the Lord Buddha performing for the 10th perfection, or we call 30th perfection, collecting again and again till he become a Buddha in this modern day. All these things we may not be able to gain to know all these things without the enlightenment of the great first triple gem we call Buddha. And without his enlightenment we call the Dhamma, we may not be able to getting to know all these things. And if we born without the noble Sangha, at least 500 of them, is leading by the Venerable Mahakaspa, made the first council. Then we came to know today that Pali Literature. We may not be able getting to know all these things. Even these days, so many billions of people around the world. How many people get opportunity to come to know all this? Only a few people. But the few people, only the one who has been, we call collecting many lifetimes, according to the Mangala Sutta that had been discussing and spreading all over the Jambu Dvipa during the time of Buddha, from the planet and up to the God Rome, trying to find out what is the auspiciousness, what is the Mangala Sutta, what is the Mangala thing? What is the auspicious thing? Some people believe that if you get up in the morning, then you see something very pretty, very nice, then that is auspiciousness. But according to this vision, because of this view, they are arguing, they are discussing from the planet up to the God room. Then, when the Sakadeva Raja came to know that, where is taken place, where this story is taken place, from the planet, from the human being, then where is the Buddha now? Chetavana Mahavihara. Then Sakadeva Raja made a representative one of God to exist in Chetavana Mahavihara, and then starting to call and starting to practice. Hello, Dr. Professor, Assistant Professor Dr. Vishian. Dr. Vishian.
Okay, good morning, everyone.
Good
Good morning,
Good
sir.
teacher
Morning,
and good
teacher.
student. How many students are there?
There are
Full
four
student, sir.
students.
Very less by only four. Arya Satya, four double truth. There they
It's a
are.
four
They
noble
are not
truth.
thing. Hari Visuta, Govita, Sai, Suchata. What another
Suchata,
one? What your
Visuta.
classmate? There only four. Remain only four. Visuta.
Yes, sir. Only
You
four,
are
sir.
the head of your classmate. Where they are? Where your classmate? They left you. Only four.
Yes, today I cannot invite them, sir, because I am so busy, sir, this morning, sir.
Okay. What about your little star? Tamilat told me what you are not little star in the second semester, and also they cannot fill out your grade. You know.
Yes, a second
You
semester,
you
sir.
yes, you have to register because if not register, also you cannot fill in your grade online
Uh,
because maybe you lost look like this also you have to register. Okay,
yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Yes,
you
sir.
have the good teacher already. Don't worry. Chan Sanchataram is very uh, expert and a good teacher. Okay, continue, sir. Okay, nice to see you. Great to see all of you. To be the
Yes,
same.
you
Yes,
too,
sir.
sir.
Great
Yeah,
to see you too,
yeah,
sir.
teacher.
Thank you
Good
very
to
much
see you,
for
teacher.
joining the class today.
Okay, welcome.
Thank you. I hope you would come again.
Okay.
Thank you. Okay, the Venerable Assistant Professor or Associate Professor Dr. Vishian Parichano, our in charge professor who look after us and kindly and following to all the students and day and night staying in the campus, trying to look after to all the students. And I also admiring about his very hard work for the student and appreciate for his hard work for the students also, because most of the teachers who willing to offer the knowledge to all the students, that is a great teachers. And thank you for all the teachers who are looking up to all the students. I'm also a little bit worried about the student who declined from the class. From the first year, we have 27 students, but this semester, we have only 11 students. Maybe some students may not getting to know that the class is going on, or maybe some of them still afraid of the COVID-19, or maybe some of them still afraid of the political unrest and not be able to conform, not be able to inform to the part of the officers in the faculties of the humanity, something like that. I hope that the Venerable Visuddha or the Venerable Govida, the Venerable Suchata, or Mr. Sai Sai would inform to all your classmates in your classes, and if you can inform them, please let them know. Contact to the departments and any kinds of need for help if they have any difficulties of something, and let us know. Maybe if anything we can help, we could share the help to each other, because the knowledge is valuable thing. The knowledge is the great thing for the future. Even we can say that the technologies or the AI may more intelligent than us, but I don't think so. The AI could not do everything. At least the AI not be able to get enlightened. But the human being, even better than many kinds of beings.
กายที่เธอมองเห็นว่างามสุดท้ายความเสื่อมทรามจะมาพรากไปร่วงโรยลงในสายทานยามการเวลาหมุนไปชีวิตต้องแตกสลายไม่มีเที่ยงแท้ผมเส้นงามถึงคราวร่วงไปแขนขาที่เคยว่องไวกลับไร้เรี่ยวแรงโรคภัยเฝ้าคอยคุกคามติดตามไปในทุกแห่งเกิดแก่เจ็บตายสำแดงเป็นธรรมดาหากเธอมองทุกการเกิดมา